The Mastermind is the latest film from director Kelly Reichardt, where she once more deconstructs the historically male-dominated, testosterone-pumping genre. This time, that genre is the heist film. It stars Josh O'Connor as J.B. Mooney, a lowlife who has lived his life with no pushback, and has decided to rob an art gallery. This is a Kelly Reichardt film, similar to her westerns, especially First Cow, where she deconstructs the masculinity inherent to the origins of the genres. Her take on the heist story is simply great. While most other narratives build towards the climactic, blood-rushing heist, Reichardt positions it as the inciting instant, and leaves the audience to follow JB in the aftermath of his robbery. A disclaimer, this can be considered slow cinema. Not slow. I for one thought it was incredibly well paced as it treads towards its conclusion. But slow compared to recent dramas. The film de-glamorizes the lives of crime typically lived by the likes of Danny Ocean, by primarily focusing on what goes wrong after the heist, and how that spirals out of control. None of it, aside from the genuine adrenaline rush of the initial art heist, which proves that Reichardt is, at least to me, a surprisingly great action comedy director, is thrilling. It's the understated, character-driven, set-piece-light storytelling I was wanting from the new Kelly Reichardt film. The Mastermind's not-so-secret weapon is Josh O'Connor. It's something the marketing is leaning hard into. The poster is just him, with no background. He's also the reason why I was so adamant on seeing this in a theatre. Like most film audiences, I was introduced to O'Connor's screen presence with Last Year's Challenges, where he gives a very physical and, to keep it simple, grubby performance as part of his central trio and ensemble cast. Then I watched La Chimera, where he plays the more subdued, contained emotionality of a leading man, which really sealed the deal. O'Connor is now one of my favourite actors working, and he brings the best parts of both Patrick Zweig and Arthur to J.B. Mooney. As this is a Reichardt film, O'Connor plays the character quietly. His conflict is kept internally with minimal grand emotional outbursts, like in La Chimera. But there's also an air of grubbiness to him. He freeloads off of his father's position as a judge to avoid conscription into the Vietnam War, and arranges an art heist because he thinks he could weasel his way through it. He's also well suited for physical comedy, bringing a low-key slapstick quality to his misfortune. For context, I don't tend to laugh out loud in cinemas. I'm more of a smiler. But The Mastermind made me chuckle in the theatre, and a large chunk of that comes from O'Connor's slimy approach to the character, J.B. Mooney. The score also frequents this freestyle jazz leitmotif whenever JB is to partake in either the planning of or execution of criminal activity. The percussion of the drums and the free-flowing nature of the music contextualize how JB sees the world and his place within it. It's discordant, yes, but beautiful in its own way, providing an active sense of linear progression, even in scenes which could be considered slow by typical standards. It makes the mundane seem more electric, alive, progressing the story at what seems, according to the music, at a rapid pace. I also love the temporal setting of the 1970s and, most notably, the ever-presence of the Vietnam War in everyday life. I was entranced by how ingrained it is into the subtext of the film, simmering in the background of the main narrative, appearing in the background of JB's life, be it on the radio, the TV, or the many protesters who he passes by in his day-to-day. Without this reminder of the stereotypical conceptions of masculinity, especially that of a bygone era such as the 70s, the film would still be great. Yet I believe that it is because of this element of the film's diegetic world that Reichardt is able to fine-tune the commentary on masculinity that, perhaps, the primary heist narrative may not fully be able to discuss in detail. It maintains an active discussion of its thematic content with the audience, refraining from simply stating theme but, instead, letting the viewer piece together how form meets theme in what I consider to be a satisfying manner. Reichardt's stillness of camera and Nouvelle Vague-inspired editing, there's a cut which instantly reminded me of Breathless, are also of note, especially when considering the amount of quick movement when conventions of the crime genre arise. The getaway from the central heist isn't shot like a slick action scene and, instead, the lack of movement juxtaposing with the robbers running away makes it evident how silly the act really is if looked upon from a different angle than just how the characters themselves perceive it. It's simple, focused exclusively on character rather than providing any sense of high-octane spectacle, and that reaffirmed my love for Reichardt's individual style of filmmaking. There may be a few segments in the latter half where it could be considered slow, particularly as the film builds towards its conclusion. I, for one, didn't quite mind so much as it is these slower scenes which allow for O'Connor to really shine, revealing personality through only facial expression and posture, which, isn't that what great acting is really about? It's also within these scenes where much of the Vietnam War subtext emerges, becoming more apparent and noticeable than in the first half of the film. In the end, I found The Mastermind to be an utterly riveting cinematic experience. The descent of a well-off deadbeat like J.B. Mooney, in conversation with themes of masculinity on a grander level, in a character study which only Kelly Reichardt could pull off in her slow, character-first method when it comes to filmmaking, toes the line between entertaining and thematically dense for the active audience member. The Mastermind? 4.5 stars. Well, that's all. Keep on watching movies, and form your own opinions. See you in the next one.